Welcome back. We're here again with the Realtor Coach, and we're starting February session off with what your plan is. Your plan is set. Now what? So February is going to be all about action. So January we spoke about how to plan, how to strategize, how to be persistent with your new goals, and February is all about action steps. In the movie The Secret, they really talked about the law of attraction and how that law of attraction. All you basically need to do is think about it. If you think about it and believe it, you can get it. It's not really the case. How you really attain results in life is that you have to take action. That action steps, it has to be in line with your thoughts and your beliefs. It's really which is the law of attraction. What they left out of the movie though is the action. So yes, you have to do thoughts, feelings, actions. They all have to be in line. So today we're going to be talking about action steps, and also going forward, we're going to be talking about action steps as well. Okay, so there's no change without change. Jim Rohn was the one who quoted that. He said, "You can't change your life if you have it. If you can't change your life if you're not going to change your life." Each year, you can't keep doing the same things year in year out and expect different results. It just won't happen. The problem with most people is they think, "Oh, I'm going to set the goal in January and everything's just going to change, but I'm going to keep doing the same routine, same habits, keep the same paradigms as last year, and they hope for different results." And that's just never going to happen. So in order to change your life, you have to change your life. If you want to change your business, you got to change your business. It's that simple. What you do day in, day out inside of your business, that's what you're going to have to change. If you want to earn more, you're going to have to do more. It's just that simple. It doesn't mean work more. It's just you have to do things that you probably haven't been doing. You have to strategically plan for what you need to do going forward to results. You're going to have to use your time better if time management is an issue. You're going to have to look at your activities, better manage your activities going forward. That's all it's going to take, just small little tweaks every single day to get to where you want to be in 2015. So minimal change can create big results. So in the book, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, it's one of the best books I've read probably in the last 6 months in terms of how you incrementally make changes in life. And he was taught by Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn is a I never met Jim Rohn, but I study a lot of his material. He's a fantastic mentor. And what he talks about is compound effects, cumulative results where small little increments and smaller changes over a long period of time make for big changes. So in 2009, Tiger Woods is the number one golfer in the world. I think he is still number one golfer in the world, but he's having a lot of struggles this year. But with his surgeries and his back and all that stuff. So we go back to 2009 when he was the number one golfer in the world. His average score was 68.1 for the entire year. So every tournament he played in, he averaged scored 68.1. And then in number 10 was Scott Plank. Scott Plank, he had a score of 70. So in the entire season, he took the average of 70. So what was the result? Well, there was a $10.5 million winnings went to Tiger Woods, and only $2 million went to Scott Plank. It's a 5 times increase. And the only difference between their round of the golf, it wasn't 100% better. Tiger Woods wasn't 50% better. He wasn't 80%, 90%, 20%, 10%. He was literally only 2% better than Scott Plank over the entire course of the year. Well, that's like, maybe one or two strokes on the putting green for the entire year. It's putting your driver on the right position in the fairway. It's that 2% difference and such a small margin of victory. You can read about that in the book called The Slight Edge. Again, I use these book references if anybody's looking and listening to improve themselves and to read the books. Then those are the books that I recommend for this particular thing with The Slight Edge, making small changes for big results. And if you don't want to read them, that's fine. I'm basically giving you the synopsis of all the books we're talking about. But yeah, I think it's a really important key aspect to remember that when you're doing this, you don't have to all of a sudden, become a different person and all of a sudden you're going to have to change 100% of your business. That's just not going to happen. You can still do what you've been doing. But what you need to do going forward is to change small little things. And we're going to be talking about what to change going forward here today. So in order to change your business, there's really only 3 ways to grow the business. So in real estate, you have to increase the number of clients that you have that you're currently working with, okay? You have to increase the average size of the sale per client. So one scenario, if you've always been earning $100,000 a year in your business and you want to increase that sale, but you don't want to increase the number of clients and you don't want to go back to them for more sales year in, year out, The one way to do it is to start selling higher priced homes. It's that simple. If you're selling $200,000 homes, sell $250,000 homes. Change your market, change your neighborhood, change your farming area. It's a small little tweak, but you can have massive changes. You can go from selling condos to selling homes in Toronto. The average condo right now is just under $400,000, and the average home is just under $1 million. So you'd be doubling your business without doing anything else different. You don't have to change the number of clients you work with, the number of transactions you do. You don't have to increase the number of sales per client. All you got to do is switch your area, switch your farming. It's that simple, and you would double your business. So it really depends on what you want to do going forward. So if you want to maintain the status quo and keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to continue to keep getting the same results. So let's look at the 3 ways to grow your business model, and let's look at how it actually accumulatively grows in your business year in, year out with small incremental changes. So let's say you're not in real estate, you're selling, I don't know, t-shirts or something, and you have 1,000 clients in your database, and the average transaction value is $100, and they make 2 transactions per year. So your total income will be $200,000. So you just multiply 1,000 times 100 times 2, you get $200,000. So what does a 10% increase do to that business? If across the board all you did was 10% of an increase of clients, increase the transaction value, increase the number of transactions per year, look what happens. It goes from, it goes from 1,000 clients to 1,100 clients, $100 to $110, 2 transactions, 2.2 transactions. That's a 10% increase across the board. It doesn't account for a 10% increase. Look at that. It goes to $266,000. You get $66,000 more. Most people think, oh, I get 220,000, which would be a 10% increase. But no, look at it, $66,000 extra if you do a small incremental change across the board. What about a 25% increase? 25% is what you need to target for this year. If you're going to change your business in real estate, I would recommend 25% target for everyone who's listening to the call today. So for this example, we're going to use, like, let's say t-shirts, and you go from 1,000 clients to 1,250 clients. You go from a transaction value of $100 to $125, and 2 transactions to 2.5 transactions per year. Your income almost doubles. It goes from $200,000 to $390,000, which is just staggering if you think about it. Because a small little tweak across the board is not that difficult to do for most people, and it's manageable. You don't have to overcome huge obstacles of budgeting. Your marketing just needs to be probably tweaked a little bit. We're going to talk about the force multiplier, how you can just add certain things to your revenue source that you're going to increase your bottom line, which is your yearly income. Let me see here. Yes, okay, so this is going to be, the graphics are a little messed up here, but this is if you were going to be in real estate. Okay, so this is a specific example for real estate. This is more realistic. So you probably don't have 1,000 clients you're working with on a day-to-day business in real estate, but you probably do have 10. And in Toronto, the average transaction commission is going to be $15,000. Most buyers and sellers, most agents, I should say, who work with their buyers and sellers don't necessarily work with investors. And we're going to talk about that in a second. So the average person will make 1 transaction. So if you have 10 clients and they have $15,000, what you earn is the commission, $15,000. And they do that once a year, you're going to earn $150,000. But look what happens when you go to a 10% increase across the board. So you just add 1 extra client. You potentially sell them, go into a market where you're increasing it by 10%. So instead of $400,000 homes, you're selling $440,000 homes. So your commission increases about $16,500. Transactions per year, that doesn't really computate when it comes to selling real estate. So this is 1.1 transactions per year. But let's just say one of your clients gave you a referral source that made up that 0.1%. Okay, so it was a referral fee, or it was an agent who gave you a referral fee, or something that made up that like 1/10 of 1%. Okay, so that total would equal $199,650. So an increase of almost $50,000 by literally just adding 1 client, tweaking the price point of what they're buying, and getting a referral fee. So it doesn't seem like a lot, but you're going to increase $50,000 across the board, which is unbelievable. It's really staggering how easy this is to do. So again, I go back to the target. The target should be a 25% increase year after year. So in 4 years, you will literally quadruple the size of your business if you maintain this business plan idea of growing your business across the board by 25%. So you increase the number of clients you work with from 10 to 12.5. So you're going to add 2.5 clients you're going to work with or close this year in 2015. The average commission would be $18,750. So you're gonna, again, instead of selling one bedroom condos, you could sell 1+10. Instead of 1+10, you could sell two bedrooms. Instead of two bedrooms, you go into, like semi-detached homes, or you go into larger scale homes. You can make a dramatic result. Like the area I live in, the average price home is just over $2 million. So the average commission is, again, it's over $50,000 is the average commission, which is insane. So again, you see how these numbers, you can tweak them and play with them as much as you want. If you're in an area in the country, in the U.S., if you're in parts of the South where you have, homes sell for $40,000, you have to tweak these numbers. Your commission is going to be significantly less. You're going to maybe want to work with more people, or potentially work with more transactions per year. And you're going to see this across the board, a 25% increase. It's going to make your income go from $150,000 a year to $234,000, $376. That is insane. It's so easy to do. And most people just don't take the time to sit down and look at the results and see where they're tracking and see what's actually working for them. So when talking about working with potential investors. So when I started my business, I was of the foresight of, I was an investor myself. I wanted to only work with investors. I understood how to invest in real estate so I could better communicate with my clients who either were investors or who want to be potential investors. The beauty about working with investors is they buy as much real estate as they possibly can buy, honestly. Like, they just don't say, oh, I'm happy with one place. I've never met an investor who says, I want to be a real estate investor and I want to own just one condo. That never doesn't happen. Okay. So I've had clients where they literally walk in and buy 5 properties off me at a time. That happened multiple times in my career. And what happens is they tell their other friends, and their other friends, guess what? They're investors as well. So what would it mean if you did an increase of 100% of what you actually do in a year? So you take your clients from 10 to 20, you put the transaction value from 15,000 to 30,000. So again, you sell just a higher price point of a property, and the transactions per year goes from 1 to 2. So instead of your typical client base who sells their home once every 7 years, you're going to work with an investor who will potentially buy 2 properties a year every year. And you only need 20 of those people. It doesn't take a lot. And then you have to sell them something that's going to make you around $30,000. Okay, that is going to take your income from $150,000 a year to $1.2 million a year. Think about those numbers. You're going to have a 10x fold in your entire income just from a small incremental change across the board when it comes to the number of clients you work with, the transaction value, and the transactions per year. So let's just say your transaction value, for example, doesn't change. You don't want to change anything. So you're going to stay at 15,000. All you're going to have to do is increase the number of clients to 40, or keep it at 20, but you increase the number of transactions to 4. So that's how you get to over $1 million producer without changing very much in your business. If this doesn't shock you, you're going to start needing to check your heart rate, because you got to wake up when it comes to this stuff. If you don't understand how simple and easy it is to make $1 million selling real estate, this is the graphic that's going to show you the way. So your targets this year for 2015, you've probably made game plans for January, which is what I was, coaching you how to do for 4 weeks. I was teaching you how to do that. So now is really where the rubber hits the road. This is where we have to start taking action steps. You got to start saying, what are you doing today? What are you going to do tomorrow? What are you going to do this week, this month to get 20 clients who are going to buy property at 15,000 commission to you, or 30,000 commission? How many transactions are they buying per year? If they're not buying multiple properties, why are they not buying multiple properties? Is it because you're not showing them how to do it? Is it because they don't know how to do it? You've got to tap into that. It's the best way to grow any business, and it's the easiest way to grow any business. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars marketing to new clients when you tap into the client base you already have. If you already have like 2 or 3 or 4 people you're working with, it's quite easy to double and triple that before the end of the year to get to that number of 20 clients. And that's really the target for everybody who's on the call today. So there's something in the Army. It's called force multiplier. Okay. Now in real estate, you're an army of one. Okay. The helicopter's flying away in this picture. Okay. They just drop you in the battlefield and say, okay, you're going off to war. In real estate, it's no difference. You get your license, you drop top in a brokerage, you say, okay, you're on your own, go to it. And what do? You try and beat the war. You take on the world by yourself. It's you incorporated. You're doing your accounting, you're doing the showing bookings, you're doing the paperwork, you're out with buyers, you're out with sellers, you're trying to scramble to do marketing, you're trying to do, you're trying to reinvent the real estate world all by yourself. And what happens? You're just going to fail. But with force multiplier, the Army has a way of, the U.S. Army especially, they're obviously dominant in the world, number one in the world. How they are so successful is they have something called force multiplier, cover every base. So when you're going to war, they're going to send the Air Force. They're going to send the Navy. They're going to send armored tanks. They're going to send, who knows? I got a picture of looks like a Roman army here. They're going to have guys on bikes with the bazookas. You're going to have the Black Ops. You're going to have Secret Service guys. You're going to have drones. You're going to have submarines. You're going to have air missiles. You're going to have land to sea. Sea to air, who knows what you're going to have, but you're going to have absolutely everything. That's what force multiplier is. They don't exactly know how they're going to win. They know they're going to win if they just send everything. And that's really how you have to treat your real estate business. You can't just go out and expect to do, one mailer for the entire year and expect, to make, a lot of money in real estate. It's just not going to happen. Okay, so you have to do a direct mail campaign. You got to do an email campaign. You have to do a telemarketing campaign. You need to do potentially a door knocking campaign only if you're doing these other things in line. There's no point of ever doing a door knocking campaign if nobody knows who you are, because they're just going to say get off my front lawn. So what you need to do is preempt or preempt basically your visit to their home with, mailers, email campaigns, telemarketing, open houses, you name it. So they need to know who you are if you can do something like that. That's essentially what a force multiplier is. You'll see more of a compounding effect when you're doing everything across the board. In real estate, it's really what we call the Parthenon effect. And the Parthenon effect we touched on a little bit last month as well. In real estate, most realtors, this army of one, it's you incorporated. There's nobody else in your business. What happens is you create this diving board effect. So if you have, let's say, in today's day and age in 2015, most realtors are heavy on the internet, right? So they want to do just the best website they could find or just a blog. They want to build a lot of people online, which there's nothing wrong with that. Like in Peter Diamandis' book, he talks about how there's the rising billion. So by 2020, just in 5 years, there's going to be another 3 billion people added to the current 2 billion people who use the internet around the world. So, instead of 2 billion, you're going to have 5 billion people who are going to be online potentially every single day. What's going to happen to the market going forward, whether it's local, whether it's international, where your buyer is going to be coming from, who is going to be finding you, how you're going to be generating your revenue? It's most likely going to be online. So it's a great way to start the business and learn the business. However, when it comes to real estate, if all you do is just internet, you're really leaving a lot on the table. And there's something that we call the diving board effect or diving board principle. I don't have an ability to animate this drawing, but what you need to do is understand if the internet column, let's call it, grows and grows and grows and grows. It gets to a point where the teetering effect of your revenue gets more susceptible to change. It has the ability to come down faster and more often, just like a diving board would. Okay, so it's more of a flexible thing. So the challenge with that is the only way to support the flex in the diving board is to create more columns or piers under the diving board. It's what we call the Parthenon. So you basically want to build the Parthenon. And how you do that is through force multiplier. You want to hit the target from every angle. So yes, you need to have an internet game plan and a strategic way to grow the business. And yes, you need direct mail. And yes, you need telemarketing. Yes, you need a sales force or a sales team. And yes, you need referrals. And yes, you need everything else that you can imagine when it comes to real estate. But the only way to do that is to start taking action. So there's no point of us just talking and planning and planning and planning. You have to start putting all these into place. So here at the Realtor Coach, we supply you with a lot of the direct mail campaigns. We've sent you, I think it was 4 in January. We're sending you more in February. We're going to be tweaking different things. So you should have like an expired listings program, direct mail campaign. You should be having, we talked about that yesterday with Jay Abraham. So there's a 13-week program with expired listings where you will preemptively send to potentially expired listings going forward. You're going to have preempted direct mail. So you'll be sending prior to their listing expiring. And then after the listing expires, we're going to show you what to send them as well, so that they're calling you and saying, look, my realtor didn't get to sell my house. What can you do? And they're going to know that off the bat what exactly they can do, because you're going to send them all these direct marketing campaigns. So that's in the column of direct mail, but it's specifically expired listings. And then each column we're going to talk about throughout the year, and you're going to have very specific action plans and action steps to take in each one. Okay. So again, small changes lead to small results. So Jim Rohn was key. He was the master of this. He taught so many people in today's day and age. He talked about cumulative results versus cumulative disasters. And you talk about an apple a day does keep the doctor away eventually. So what that means is, yeah, if you're sick today and you eat an apple today, it's probably not going to keep the doctor away. But had you been eating apples every single day up until the day you got sick, you probably wouldn't even get sick at all. So just because you don't see results today in your real estate business doesn't mean you have to stop. It's the worst thing you could do. What you need to do is create the plan, which is why we spent so much time in January, and really stick to that plan. And how you do that is you do small incremental steps every single day, small little action steps. So, your marketing today won't show you how bad your business is until next year, right? So if you stop marketing today, you'll say, I didn't necessarily see the results, good or bad. But next year, you'll definitely see either the same results or worse because you stopped marketing. And that's the worst thing you could do. So the challenge with anything in life, any new venture you take on, there's always going to be a growth period of nothing happening. You're going to be doing all this work and you're putting all this time, energy, money, effort into this whole process. You're going to see no results. And what's the point? Nobody wants to do that. But you have to do that in order to get to where you want to go, which is essentially compounding results. So this is what we're talking about when it comes to cumulative results. This is what we're talking about. It's called the compound effect. If you look at a compounded graph for money or an investment, for example, 90% of the time, nothing's happening. So if you're investing money and you're getting an annual rate of return of 4%, for 40 years of your life, it's going to be a very small amount of money. But by the time you retire, you're 50, okay, you're going to have this huge spike in what's actually there because it's going to be doubling. It has this compounding effect. And, there's the example of if you and your friend were at a shop and the shop owner said, look, one of you can have $3 million a day and the other one can have a penny a day doubled for 31 days. Which one would you choose? And your friend goes up first and she says, I don't want the $3 million today because, what's a penny a day over 31 days? It's probably nothing. And so you said, well, my only option left is take the penny a day and double it for 31 days. So you take that. And what happens after the first week? I don't know. You have like $5. It's nothing, right? And then week 2, you probably have like, maybe $1,000. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head. But by week 3, you're around like $5,000. And your friend's saying, hey, I took the $3 million. You probably should have did the same thing. And then by day 29, so you're at, like 98% of the time, you finally almost catch up to your friend. You're on like $2.7 million, I think is what the number is. And then on day 31, you double that to 5.4 million. And by day 31, you have over $10 million by doubling a penny every day for 31 days. And that's the power of compounding. And your business is no different when it comes to results. So small little incremental action steps over a long period of time, sustained every single day, is really going to add to big things on the back end. But the problem with that is it works both ways, both good and bad. So if you do no action, take no work, do nothing every single day for a little bit, every single day of your entire career, fast forward, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years in the business, your business is really going to be suffering. One, your costs are going to be too high to stay in the business. There's not going to be enough revenue coming in. You're going to be understanding that it just won't be worth it to be in real estate if you're doing no action for a long period of time. So how to create action steps. So we talked a lot about strategy and game planning in January. And in February, again, this is all about taking action. So what do? You have the plan. Now what? One of the favorite books I've ever written is called U Squared by Price Pritchett. Everybody in my company, my brokerage, gets a copy of it before they start. And I make them read that cover to cover. And what they talk about in U Squared is you don't have to work harder, you have to work smarter. And you can have this, what we call cumulative or quantum leap. Price Pritchett calls it a quantum leap. He talks about the opening story is about a fly hitting a pane of glass. No matter how hard that fly tries to break through the pane of glass, it will ultimately die on the windowsill, just because it doesn't matter how hard it tries, it won't succeed. Even though if it just went a 180-degree turn and flew through the open door, it'd be out and you could just fly away. But it doesn't. It just continues to hit window after window after window. And the problem with that is most realtors are no different. Okay, you just keep pounding pavement, you keep doing the same thing over and over again. You think if you work harder, longer hours, you're just gonna, make your way to success eventually. But that's not always necessarily the case. You have to work smart. And you have to have action steps that are growing you in a way that you're going to have a cumulative effect. So in Price Pritchett's book, U Squared, he had a follow-up book called The Quantum Leap Strategy. In there, he outlines specifically what you need to do to take action. In there, he gives you a 29.5-day program of creating action steps. So on day 1, whatever that day you want to pick, whether it's February 1st or 4th or 5th or whatever it is, you pick that date. And from that date forward, you're going to take 29 action steps you need to take that you think you need to take to succeed in your business. So whether it's create a marketing campaign, start a marketing campaign, distribute the marketing campaign, you have to create that list of 29 items. Is it speaking to your past client base? Is it asking for referrals? Is it setting up a system? Is it building your team? You got to figure out what that is. But you have to build 29 steps on action. And then each day, he recommends reading his book every single day. It's a very short book. You can read it in a very short period of time. And you have to then sit down, sit still, think about your goal. He talks about actually tracing the goal out with your hand to have this physical connection to the goal. And then from there, you think about what action step you need to take each day. So for today, Friday, what are you going to do today? You only have to do one thing to create action. Small changes over a long period of time creates incredible results. So what are you going to do today to change your business? What action step are you going to take? Are you going to make a phone call to your past clients? Are you going to do a cold call? Are you going to do a door knocking? Are you going to do an email campaign? Are you going to do a Facebook ad? You need to figure out what you're going to do, but you need to do it every single day for 29 days. So in the book, he talks about 29 and a half days. The reason for 29 and a half days is the lunar cycle of the moon. So by the time the moon goes around the earth, he says you'll see extreme growth if you do this every single day for 29 and a half days. So again, you need to look at your goal each day for 10 minutes. Obviously, hopefully in a still, quiet room where you're not distracted, you're not in front of the computer, your phone's not on, nothing's really happening. So you got to be very still, calm, collected. And you really think about your goal for 10 minutes each day. Yeah, he recommends twice a day. So you also need to create a list of 29 items, and each day you only focus on accomplishing one of those goals or changes and implement and stick with it. So you must track your results. This, to me, was probably the biggest game changer for my business. So there's a large part of my business when I was in selling real estate where, I was just sort of like hoping the next deal would come in, and there's no consistency. There's there's persistence on my part, but not persistence on the deals coming in. And what was happening was I wasn't sure where the dollars were going. What were the results I was getting? If I sent $1 out in marketing, what was I getting back in return? I didn't understand any of that until I started tracking it. And when I started tracking it, I understood that a lot of the marketing I was doing was producing zero results. So I actually took away that marketing and put it into different areas that were generating better results. And what happened is my business started to take off quite quickly. And I was tracking, how many showings to doing per client, whether buyer or sellers. I'd understand how many times I have to meet with these people. On average, the buyers, it was 20 showings was the average. So that's a large part of your day if you think about it. If each buyer you take consumes 20 showings, how long does a showing take? Some are 5 minutes, some are half an hour. But there's also driving time, commuting time, booking the showings. There's a lot of time commitment to buyers. When it comes to sellers, there's generally only 1 or 2 visits with the seller, right? So sometimes, a large part of the time, I just meet with them once, I get the listing. And that was pretty much it. And then I see them again on the offer date or whatever it was. But there's a much smaller time component. The problem is getting the sellers is the harder thing. So how do you get the sellers versus the buyers? But that being said, if you can get buyers, you can easily just get sellers as well. So in order to grow your business, in order to really take some significant action changes this year in 2015, you need to track what you're doing. So one of the greatest examples I've ever read was if you just take a little booklet with you, okay, just tiny. I know people have their iPhones and their smartphones they have with them this year, but what you need to do is go back to old school ways. So just get a tiny little notebook. You go to the dollar store, just get like one of those little things, little notepad to scribble on, and keep it in your pocket or your purse or whatever it is you're doing. And each day track what you actually do. Okay, this is one of the best tools you could ever do, especially for February. If you're looking for a big change and you want a small, quick, and easy thing to do, literally go into your office and at the balance of the day, so let's say it's 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, whenever you finish your day, and just jot down what you did, literally either hour by hour or minute by minute if you're that good with it, and say, what were your action steps you took today? And really track what you did. What are you tracking your results? Were you on the internet, or if you were you being productive in Facebook, or were you just socializing? If you're at the office, were you being productive and talking to clients, or were you being unproductive and talking to other realtors in the office? If you're on the road, are you driving an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours a day? Is time management a problem for you? Are you exercising? Are you eating properly? Are you, coordinating your schedule? Are you building assistants? Are you talking with your team if you have a team? If you track what you did over a course of 1 week, let's just do it for 1 week. If you're just tracking your results, you'd be amazed and sort of probably disbelieved at what you're actually doing, what you're actually not doing in your day. And to really take the actions over 29 and a half days, you first need to track it. So just first start tracking what you're doing, and then you go from there. I think one of the worst statistics I ever heard was the average North American consumer watches 8 hours of TV or their screen time every single day. So that means you're in front of a TV, a computer, your phone, or your iPad for 8 hours on average a day. I didn't believe it. But then when I track my results, there's no question. I'm pretty close to it because I'm on the phone all day long. I'm in front of a computer most of the day. When I get home, the TV's on, the iPad's on. Like it's always there. There's always something around. So really, for time management, people or people who are lacking time or they think they're lacking time, really track your results. How much time are you spending on doing things not related to work? How much are you spending, on the TV time, on the screen time? You really have to track it. So again, it's vital to track actions. Without it, you're going to expect more of the same year in, year out if you don't track what you're actually doing. So this was supposed to be animated. Anyway, so the importance of taking action. So if on the left-hand side, there's four names. There's Frank Hauser, Lewis Crandall, Richard and Maurice McDonald. If anybody's never heard of those names, it's for good reason. These three people didn't take action on what they did. The people on the right are the people who did take action. Steve Jobs, Frank Woolworth, and Ray Kroc. You've probably heard of all three of those people. The list on the left, you probably never heard of before. And the reason for that is they never took action. Had they had taken action, Frank Hauser would be a partner with Steve Jobs and Apple. Lewis Crandall would be the partner of Frank Woolworth. He was one of the first multimillionaires back in the Great Depression era of 1990, created Woolworths, of course. And Richard and Maurice McDonald sold their little-known shop known as McDonald's Restaurant Burger Chain to Ray Kroc. All three people on the left had the same opportunity as the people on the right, but they didn't see the value going forward. They didn't see the action steps that they could take or possibly what they could do with their lives. The problem with that was Frank Hauser was approached by Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs said, I will give you 50% of my business if you create, he wanted to go to a convention, but they had no money in the beginning of Apple. And he went to Frank, and Frank was a well-known, essentially when you go to these events, they have these big billboards behind like your booth, right? So he was a well-known guy who created these booths. And he said, Steve, I don't know who you are. I don't know what Apple is, computers. I don't know what that's all about. I just create these event billboards. And Steve said, look, I'll give you 50% of this business. It's all I have to offer you. If you supply me with this and for other events for the entire year, I really want to grow this business. Frank said, no, I'm just in the business of creating these billboards. It's really a funny story, but it's a well-known story. So had he just said yes to him and provided, probably like $2,000 or $3,000 worth of billboards and signs back in the day, he would have been a 50% owner and partner with Steve Jobs, but he wasn't. Lewis Crandall sold his business to Frank Woolworth. Frank Woolworth said, we should start a store called Woolworth where the understanding is we provide the same value items but at cheaper cost. Very similar to what Walmart does today. Woolworth was sort of the first generation of the Walmarts of the world, where it's all about dollar cost averaging, and it's all about volume. So if you sell things for half the value of what your competitors are selling for, you'll eventually get all the clients. So you'll be selling more products, so your actual bottom line goes up. And Lewis Crandall didn't understand the business, and he had a store, and he sold it to Frank Woolworth and said, "I'll just sell it to you for $1,200." Back in I think 1895, so $1,200 still was significant amount of money. But Frank Woolworth went on to build that fortune by 1919 to sell like $7 million, which doesn't sound like a lot, but in 1919, $7 million was probably worth like about $10 billion today. So to give you an idea of what that was worth. He's got buildings all over the world still. He's got some funny stories about his heirs and heiresses about spending the fortune, but that's a different story for a different day. And then, of course, Richard and Maurice McDonald, they had a hamburger chain. I think he was in the U.S., somewhere in the U.S. when they first started. Ray Kroc approached them and said, look, I'm in the business of growing businesses, and I think this would be a great business to franchise, and it could be potentially worldwide. And they're just like, no, we're not that interested. So they sold the rights to their name, McDonald's restaurant, and what they were doing to Ray Kroc for, basically pennies. And Ray Kroc went on to create billions of dollars. So when it comes to real estate, it's all about taking action. If you want to be known for something in real estate, take action and really make it a big event. Anywhere, and if you're in Canada or the United States, and you're listening to this, you're going to be a part of a market or economy that's really going to be booming over the next 5 to 10 years, despite all the economic things that are going on with the oil and the dollar and all that stuff. The economic recovery, the real estate is going to be almost unprecedented over the next 5 to 10 years for both countries. So you're a part of that, but you really have to. You won't be a part of it if you don't take action, if you don't step up to it. So I hope the messaging today got through to everyone. And just in summary, you got to make sure you create the plan, but you have to take action on your plan and taking small incremental steps every single day leads to big changes going forward, but only a long period of time and only if you're persistent with it. So thanks for listening today. That's the Realtor Coach, and we'll talk to you next time.